All right, we are live. Let's go. Yesterday we saw something very interesting. Oh no, this is Claude. All right. Yesterday we saw something very interesting. Erik Torenberg from A16Z said this. Why aren't there more Twitch-style streamers in tech? It feels like there's a wide space in streaming for tech creators, especially relative to podcasts and newsletters, which are more saturated. TVP and a few others have shown there is substantial demand for it when it's good. Let's look into this. If Claude can search up some creators, that would be interesting. WisprFlow is on now. Okay. Can you find some Twitch style streamers in tech? And what do you think is the need? Actually, let's first talk about the more need part. Why do you think people are asking for, or there is a need for Twitch style streamers in tech? What has happened that we have evolved from podcasts and newsletters to now streaming? It would be interesting to see because, so what is happening over here? I think podcasts and newsletters, what's the problem? Sometimes, here's what I think. With podcasts, the problem is the host. I had a podcast. The host is only talking so much. And yes, the host is changing constantly because every interaction with a new guest, you are expanding. You are talking to new people. Your perspectives are changing. You are moving in a new direction. You build more courage. You have more interesting insights about specific industries. But the problem is for outside, for audience, you might not have built a really strong relationship with the host because you don't know anything about the host. And I think host also needs to have this time to internally evolve, which is not dependent on an external person. Because right now your evolution of how like if you look at one of my friends who's a podcast host, every time he goes out, every time he releases a podcast, he is talking to better and better people. And sometimes I think that what might happen is that your people thinking about your evolution, how you are growing, is totally dependent on what quality of guest were you able to get, which doesn't show your internal evolution about how you're thinking about your thoughts, your ideas, your work, your mind, how rich is your mind, what were you focused on a month earlier and what can you stop thinking about now. These kind of concepts are really hard to understand if you are a podcast host and the only interaction people have with you are those questions. And same for you, that's the only time you get to perform. With newsletters, right now I think this is the problem with text in general, that AI generated text is so much out there that you have no patience to actually sit down and read everything and also trust that this would be a good quality content. We kind of, in terms of text, we kind of want a lot of people to have read that before, have that collateral damage done, where people have read through things and they are like, oh, this is shit. Just wasted the time, and then you talk about it. So that helps other people to not go and to spend time reading that. But again, like for the high quality content, it's very important. Like the Citrini research paper came out, it didn't matter how much of it was AI generated, but the idea was cohesive. It moved the markets, and that was important. That makes you think that, okay, I want to go back and read a paper like that. So with text, now we are again in this barbell strategy. You either have totally AI generated content, or you have very high quality content, which could be AI generated, but it's really high quality. It moves markets. It moves markets means it moves people. Moves people, moves their emotions. So moving markets means moving someone's emotions. That's just like a film. A film makes you cry. A security research paper makes you anxious and makes you swing for the fences in terms of your capital. So why is there a need for live streaming? I think the need for live streaming is that maybe to build more deeper connection with one person in terms of what we are doing. I think there are other forms of live streaming. There are other forms of live streaming that are pretty much like podcasts, which is much more like, what do we call that? Rapid podcast or speed podcast. It seems like some people are operating in that space, or speed podcast. We just met one of the guys, I think his name is Bryson, something like that. But he is doing something like that in SF. What else do we got for live streaming? So live streaming also, there's a need for authentic communication. There's a need to really understand the host, how they are evolving, how their thinking is evolving, how their interests are evolving, and how can we go deeper and deeper into things. Because with podcast, the problem is that you are always at surface level. This is a very interesting thing that happens with conversations. With conversations, you are constantly at surface level. You are not going deeper and deeper into things. You are not exploring the weirdest arcs of things. A conversation kind of always stays surface level, and even when it goes deeper, because you don't have information with you, because you are not operating with, like, a conversation doesn't mean that you are actively looking through data. Like, humans forget things. We forget about things. We forget about the data and analytics and all those things. So we don't even try to refer them, and we don't try to go deeper into them. And also, there might be so many other interesting analogies that could be made based on what you just talked. But these two people who are in conversation might not have the domain expertise to make that connection. I think that is something where the beauty of AI over here, that we can be like, oh, look at Saturn research paper. How do you look at it from the lens of Upanishads? Incredible. That is incredible. Okay, let's see what it says. The appeal of liveness and authenticity. That's number one. The appeal of liveness and authenticity. One of our friends, he reached out after a long time, and he mentioned, I was like, okay, what would you steal from the format we have for what we got going over here? And I thought he would say something like, oh, I like the format, I like the design, I like this, I like that, something very surface level. But he said, I like the calm, I like the confidence, I like the authenticity. And I think that kind of became the driver for me, because or that kind of gave me a lot of clarity that, oh, what people might be looking for. Content is not that important. The content is not that important. What's more important is this relationship, maybe. Is this personality, maybe. Is the format, is the format of authenticity, yeah. Because you cannot talk for 3 hours without entering into the most natural form of how you are. Podcasts and newsletters are polished, edited, and asynchronous. That was the strength, but it's increasingly the limitation. Exactly. I think I'm really excited for, as more and more people start commenting over here in the streams, I'm really excited for the back and forth as well. I think that back and forth will be very interesting, where we are looking into certain new ideas that we might have not come across. Podcasts and newsletters are polished, edited, and asynchronous. That was the strength, but it's increasingly their limitation. Audiences have developed a taste for watching people think in real time. Exactly. I think that's a skill. And again, that will become more and more important as we have AI, because this is like, if you are talking to a friend, and if every question you ask them, they literally just, if you are over text, you don't even know. But if they are responding to every question with just a copy paste of a ChatGPT response, you kind of know that, okay, this is not that interesting right now. Yes, you can give me the correct answer, the most correct, accurate answer, but this is not fun. What I am really curious about is how you think. I don't care about what's the correct answer. And I think that is what people are craving right now. That, okay, how do you think in real time? How do you think without just looking at ChatGPT for a response, or without looking at any LLM for a response? When someone is live coding, debugging, or reacting to breaking tech news on stream, there's no hiding behind edits. The rawness builds trust in a way that a carefully scripted newsletter can't. The shift from consuming knowledge to watching process. Watching process is also really important. Podcasts teach you what someone thinks. Streams show you how they think. For technical audience, developers, founders, engineers, watching someone's actual workflow, their debugging instincts, how they navigate a code base or evaluate a tool is enormously valuable. Would we need that? Would we need that in the age of cloud code? It's closer to apprenticeship than content consumption. It's closer to apprenticeship than content consumption. Exactly. I think this is pretty cool. This is pretty cool because in the past, how you learned from a mentor or from someone whose skill you wanted to just absorb through osmosis is just being around them and seeing how they operate, seeing what are the little things that they do, because it's not just about the work, it's all about also how they craft their life so that helps them do the work. I think this is also really interesting. Like when you look into the artists who have kind of found that, okay, like Claude Monet found that, okay, all I want to do is paint. So then based on everything that is important to you, you craft your entire day, your entire life so that it helps your work. So you are doing dinners at the night with family to make sure that you are always in that, you always have that, you always like, yeah, making could be a lonely process, but it's also very engaging. But then you also need humans around you, so you are spending that time. You're waking up super early because you are a painter and you want to capture the best light, so you are like waking up super early, stuff like that. Yeah. When someone is live coding, debugging, it's closer to apprenticeship than content consumption. I think this one is pretty good. It's closer to apprenticeship. Community and co-presence. Newsletters are one-to-many. Podcasts are parasocial. Streams are genuinely interactive. Chat is a real feedback loop. Tech people who often work remotely and asynchronously are hungry for that sense of shared presence around topics they care about. It fills a social gap that Slack channels and Discord servers only partially address. AI has accelerated the cycle, where tools like Claude, Cursor, Copilot, and the act of building software has become dramatically more watchable. Vibe coding sessions where someone goes from zero to a working app in an hour make for compelling live content in a way that watching someone type Python line by line in 2018 did not. Interesting. Saturation in existing formats. As the post notes, podcasts and newsletters are crowded. The barrier to entry was low, so everyone launched one. Streaming has a higher bar. You need charisma, real-time skill, and consistency, which means less competition and more differentiation for those who can pull it off. What is this? The reason TVPN, the Broke Programmers Network, resonates is that it proved the format works when you combine genuine technical depth with entertainment value. The demand was always latent. People just needed proof of concept. The demand was always latent. I am curious. Tell me more. Tell me more about... One interesting thing that we have done is, and I'm really excited about that, is just the fact that I've turned off memory in Claude, because what was happening is that we had built some sort of context rot or memory debt. Basically, we have gone so much deeper into the most interesting things that we like that Claude had saved all of that in its cache memory. And every time it's responding through that lens. And that meant that every new response, it was trying to really overfit the response to this cache that it had built over the last 2 months of our previous conversations, previous interests, previous conversations, previous interests. So now what it feels like, we are again going back and talking to the substrate layer. We're going back and talking to the ground substrate layer straight to the model right now, because when you build so much cache memory and your every response is flowing through the cache memory, it makes the responses really bad. And I think I was starting to see this really with my voice conversations on Claude, because every time I'm having a voice conversation, it's really trying to overfit every response to something that I did 2 months ago, and that became really annoying. And also if we really believe in evolution, I think this is beautiful. If we really believe in evolution, that part of me started feeling cringe, because I think that's true. In the moment, this feels amazing to me that I'm doing this research. But 2 months later, I'll be like, this is so cringe. And I think that is exactly what happens. Like, whatever you do in the moment, it's amazing. But 2 months later, that has rotten, that is now cringe. And you also want to show yourself, you also want to witness yourself moving forward and evolving and going deeper into the next frontier. So I think that was something that was happening. So we turned off, and I'm really happy that now we have new now we are entering into some new world. It feels pretty good. Okay, the saturation point is worth unpacking because it explains a lot about where tech media is heading. With podcast, the explosion happened around roughly 2019 2023. The formula became almost templated: get two smart people, record a conversation, publish weekly. The tools were cheap: mic and Riverside. Distribution was free: Spotify, Apple. Audience was growing, but that very accessibility meant the space got flooded. There are now thousands of tech podcasts, and most listeners are settled into their 3 to 5 favorites. Breaking through as a new voice is brutally hard. Newsletters followed a similar arc. Substack made it trivially easy to start one, and for a while, I'm launching a newsletter was almost a meme in tech circles. The best ones: Tech Read, Lenny's newsletter, The Pragmatic Engineer, built real businesses, but the average reader only subscribes to so many, and inbox fatigue is real. The format also rewards a specific skill set: clear, consistent, long form writing that filters out a lot of people who are brilliant practitioners but not great writers. Streaming flips the selection criteria. The skills that make someone a great streamer: thinking on their feet, engaging with a live audience, being entertaining while being technically competent, are genuinely rare. Most excellent engineers are not natural performers, and most natural performers don't have deep technical chops. That combination is scarce, which is exactly why the opportunity exists. There's also a structural difference in how these formats compound. A newsletter builds an archive. A newsletter builds an archive. Old posts keep generating value. A podcast episode has a long tail too, but streams create moments, clips, highlights, reactions that spread virally in ways long form content doesn't. A 30-second clip of someone live debugging a gnarly production issue or building something wild with an AI tool can catch millions on X or TikTok. The short form distribution flywheel barely existed for tech content creators before. The economics are different too. Newsletters monetize through subscriptions and sponsorships. Podcasts rely on ad reads. Streams unlock donations, subscriptions, memberships, and real-time sponsorships simultaneously. Streams unlock donations, subscriptions, memberships, and real-time sponsorships simultaneously. Plus, they create natural funnels into courses, consulting, and community products. The revenue surface area is just wider. So the core insight is that the gap isn't about audience demand. People clearly want this. It's about supply. The talent pool that can pull off great tech streaming is small. The format is harder to fake, and the winners will likely capture outsized attention precisely because there are fewer of them. Very interesting. Podcasts rely on ad reads, newsletter through subscription sponsorship. Streams unlock donations, subscriptions, memberships, real-time sponsorships. Natural funnels into courses, consulting, community products. That applies to both of them, but okay. Who are some streamers who perfectly fall into this category? Let's see what Claude thinks is the answer. Embody the trend. Eric's post is finding ad preview across years. The pre-Megan Michael Paulson, probably the clearest example, is a former Netflix engineer who originally started as a Fortnite streamer on Twitch. Wow, but switched to programming content after getting a positive response. Very interesting. Very interesting. Okay. The pre-Megan. Twitch would switch to programming content after getting a positive response. What makes him the prototype for this category is that he's generally entertaining, high energy, opinionated, meme fluent, while having real technical depth. As one Hacker News commenter put it, a lot of coding streamers don't have his breadth and depth or his high level experience at a top tech company. But the pre-Megan hits a sweet spot. A lot of coding streamers don't have his breadth and depth or his high level experience at a top tech company. Okay, very interesting. He reacts to tech articles, learns new languages live, Zig, OCaml, and builds things on stream. He's accumulated over 285k Twitch followers and averages roughly 1600 concurrent viewers. TVPN. I don't know why it says the Broke Programmers Network. Is that a meme? While brands spend millions, tech podcast TVPN sneaks onto Super Bowl ad field. Different flavor hosted by John Cook and Jordy Hayes, live stream on YouTube and X each weekday, covering tech news and interviewing figures like Mark Zuckerberg, Sam Altman, Satya Nadella. It's less live coding and more like a daily tech talk show with a streaming native format. They even ran a regional Super Bowl ad in the Bay Area, which signals how seriously they are treating this as a media brand, not just a side project. George Hotz, hacker archetype, famous for jailbreaking the iPhone and PlayStation 3. He's been building companies like Comma.ai and TinyGrad and frequently does programming live streams on Twitch with over 83k followers. His streams are raw. He'll just sit down and hack on TinyGrad for hours. The appeal is watching someone with generally elite technical ability work through hard problems in real time. Theo, former Twitch engineer turned founder and streamer. Former Twitch engineer turned founder and streamer. Very interesting. Who bridges the gap between developer education and tech commentary. He's built a large YouTube following around full stack TypeScript content, but streams regularly too, mixing hot takes on frameworks with live building. Soaring is a quiet but deeply respected example. His recreation programming tagline understates the value he delivers. He's deeply knowledgeable about C, Linux, and assembly, and explains everything clearly as he works. Less entertainer, more craftsman, but his streams have a devoted following. What's notable is that these people succeeded through very different formulas. The pre-Megan through charisma and memes, Hotz through raw technical mystique, TVPN through media production value, Theo through opinionated developer education. The common thread isn't a single style, it's that each one found a way to make technical work watchable, built real community around it. The space is wide open for more people to find their own version of that. Professional game developer. Unreal Engine content every week. He has been working with Unreal since 2019. Okay, this is interesting. I believe with remote work today, as everybody has been logged into their home, and people are also alienated, and people do want to work, but people also do want the privacy and do want to control the environment. People are kind of in one room, and I believe that more and more people will start live streaming their work, especially their flow states, the states where they are in flow, because this not only means that because when you are being watched, you act differently, you perform, you do better, you get into flow state. And more people, I believe, will start doing that. And they will build more community, they will build more expertise, they will get more deeper into their flow states. That was a lot. That was a lot. Okay. It's pretty fun to sometimes give these, thanks to WisprFlow, it's pretty good to go deeper and deeper into the context, because that means your AI is going to respond in a much more richer way. So here's Honest Chan, professional game developer. Unreal Engine content every week. Pretty cool. Traversy Media. Hundreds of videos and dozens of video series on a variety of programming topics. Okay. White P4N3R. Wow. Streamer, software engineer, developer, educator who doesn't just stream code. She also has blog posts on a wide variety of programming topics and a YouTube channel with edited programming videos. She builds weird websites, roast code that her viewers submit, and chats about the tech industry every week. Maybe we have to go on Twitch. The Premagan. He's also a very entertaining streamer to watch. Jason Lengstorff. Learn with Jason, live stream where he pairs up with another developer in the community to learn something new in a 90-minute stream. He typically covers JavaScript and React techniques and best practices. Pirate. Some coding guy. Shar P. Fritz. J. Blow, coding after work. Theo Brown, ex-Twitch, founder of Ping.gg, service that helps creators bring guests into OBS. Oh wow. Okay. Thanks by Ping. D3 chat, upload thing, Ping.gg. Do collab shows, just like the pros. Very interesting. Very interesting. Okay. Very interesting. High quality, low latency, creator focused video calls. Ping is the best way to bring your guest into OBS. Wait, what is this? Okay. Keeps you looking your best for LSF. Easier than cheating in TF2. Plays well with others. The internet's coolest creator teams use Ping. Interesting. What is the pricing? 24 per month. Okay. Kind of expensive. Okay. Compelling thesis, and I think you are onto something that goes beyond just tech content creation as a career path. You're describing something more fundamental. Streaming is a productivity tool and a solution to the isolation problem of remote work. The observation effect you are pointing to is real and well documented. Psychologists call it social facilitation, the idea that the mere presence of others improves performance on tasks you are already competent at. When you know someone is watching, you don't check Twitter for the 15th time, you don't drift. There's an implicit accountability that pulls you into focus. Streamers already talk about this. They describe being more productive on stream than off, which seems counterintuitive until you understand the mechanism. And here's what I think makes your framing different from the typical creator economy conversation. You are not really talking about building an audience in the traditional sense. You're talking about something closer to a digital co-working space. Except instead of everyone silently working in a cafe, one person's flow state becomes the anchor that others orbit around. This is really cool. The streamer gets focus, the viewers get ambient companionship, and the vicarious motivation of watching someone logged in, both sides win. Here's what I think makes your framing different from the typical creator economy conversation. You're not really talking about building an audience in the traditional sense. You're talking about something closer to a digital working space. Except instead of everyone silently working in a cafe, one person's flow state becomes the anchor that others orbit around. The streamer gets focus, the viewer get ambient companionship, and the vicarious motivation of watching someone logged in. Both sides win. The loneliness piece is crucial. Remote work solved a lot of problems: commutes, open office noise, autonomy, but it creates a deep social deficit that Slack messages and Zoom calls don't fill. What's missing isn't communication, it's co-presence. The feeling of being around other humans who are doing the same kind of work in the same rhythm at the same time. That's what a good stream provides. It's not about the chat or the content. It's about the ambient sense that you are not alone in your room. Where I think this gets really interesting is when it stops being a niche behavior and starts becoming normalized. Right now, streaming your work feels performative, something you do if you want to be a creator. But if your prediction plays out, it becomes more like turning on music while you work, just a thing people do because it makes them better. The stigma flips. Instead of why are you streaming yourself coding, it becomes why wouldn't you? The expertise building angle is underappreciated too. When you narrate your thinking, even to a small audience, you're essentially doing a continuous form of Feynman technique learning. You can't hide behind vague understanding when someone in the chat asks, why do you do it that way? The pressure to articulate forces deeper comprehension, which compounds over time. The question I would push back on slightly is whether most knowledge workers will do this or whether it remains a meaningful but minority practice. Flow states are fragile, and some people generally need silence and zero social presence to access them. The sweet spot might be that a significant portion of remote workers discover that streaming helps them. A broader group consumes those streams as ambient co-working companions. And the overall effect is that remote work becomes less isolating for everyone, even if not everyone is the one hitting go live. Tell me more about what are the reasons that streamers say they stream. What keeps them going? What really helps them? Let's see. Motivation, sustainability factors, support systems for content streamers. I have certain ideas in my mind, but I'm really curious to see, especially with the video game streamers, if there's a relation I can connect over there. By the way, this was pretty cool. There was a PDF of the motivation of video game streamers and their viewers. The psychology of Twitch. Whoa. You're gonna hit summarize on this. The world laughs with you. World's largest live streaming platform for video game content, attracting 15 million users every day. Twitch is the choice platform for esports and other video game related events. It is also the platform which allows gamers to entertain the world, make new game loving friends, and even earn a living. That has always intrigued me. Why is watching other people play video games so popular? Why is it a viable and successful career option for some people? These are some questions I would like to help answer in this article. This article will focus on individual streamers playing video games rather than esports events. Emotional contagion. Why watching is fun. Your brain joins the party. Mirror neurons fire when we watch someone laugh or react, almost as if we were doing it ourselves. Laughter is socially contagious. Seeing someone genuinely enjoy a moment pulls us into the same emotional current. This shared emotional loop can reduce stress and boost mood through dopamine, serotonin, endorphins. Streamers' face cam is not decoration, it is a neural bridge. Social energy and personality in introverts versus extroverts. Twitch becomes a kind of psychological thermostat. Introverts recharge alone but still crave connection. Streaming offers social interaction without the full drain of in-person contact. Okay? Full drain. Extroverts gain energy from interaction, can feel stimulated by engaging with chat and streamers. The rich get richer effect suggests socially skilled people may benefit online too, extending the social networks. Twitch offers customizable social intensity. You can dip a toe or dive in. Productivity in background streams. Not all noise is created equal. Introverts tend to perform best in silence. Extroverts may perform better with pleasant background noise. A favorite streamer in the background can act as energizing ambient audio rather than distraction. Big idea for some personalities, which can be cognitive fuel, not friction. Altruism and financial support. Why donate when you can just watch for free? Because giving feels good, literally. Donations and subscriptions trigger public acknowledgement. Acts of support activate dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin. Oxytocin strengthens feelings of belonging and social bonding. Supporting a streamer is not just generosity, it is identity reinforcement. I matter here. I am seen. Why Twitch works as a career. The platform taps into three powerful psychological circuits: emotional contagion and shared joy, social belonging and community identity, reward chemistry linked to altruism. Streamers who cultivate authenticity, humor, and connection become hubs of neurochemical reinforcement. Twitch is not just about watching games, it is about shared emotion, social connection, and biochemical rewards. It entertains and bonds, it energizes, it pays. In 1962, a boarding school in Tanzania was shut down for over 2 months. It wasn't due to a disease outbreak, it wasn't due to structural issues in the building, it was due to a widespread laughing fit. What? To watch on Twitch is whether they use your camera. Indeed, when you browse Twitch by most popular channels, it is very common to see rows of individuals playing games with a camera. What began as 3 girls laughing escalated into 95 students laughing uncontrollably. While the laughing fit initially started in one school, it spread around the region and eventually resulted in a temporary closure of 14 schools. This behavioral contagion intrigued researchers, encouraging them to investigate the outbreak and nature of laughter itself. It was discovered that it was easier to be inflicted with the laughing fit if you shared things in common with a person currently having a laughing fit. Fast forward to the 1990s, where a team of neuroscientists make a discovery that is still marveled at today. While measuring brain activity in monkeys, researchers noticed that the same neurons fired when a monkey picked up a peanut and when it watched a researcher pick up a peanut. Mirror neurons fire both when someone carries out an action and when someone watches another person carry out the action. Rizzolatti colleagues later found support for the existence of mirror neurons in humans. Mirror neurons would fire both when hand and facial movements were made and when the participant... I think I would like to create a Chrome extension. Create me a Chrome extension. Let's see. I think Chrome extensions are getting easier over here. Create me a Chrome extension that changes the font of any website to serif. That's it. Yes. Let's go make it, because this content is very interesting, but the font is very dry. We don't like dry fonts. It should be like the Notion serif font. I really love the Notion serif font. It makes a massive difference when you are writing, especially when you're writing in French. The moment you start writing in French and there's a serif font, it's like, this is beautiful. Rizzolatti and colleagues later found support for the existence of mirror neurons in humans. Mirror neurons would fire both when hand and facial movements were made and when the participant witnessed someone else making hand and facial movements. Empathy neurons. It is argued that it is mirror neurons that allow us to empathize with others and understand how they are feeling in the moment. As laughter is a social reaction to humor, this could act as an invitation to share in the person's joy, which is picked up by empathy neurons. This theory is used to explain why biological arousal is doubled while watching people laugh during a conversation rather than simply laughing yourself. Not only is there evidence of laughter being contagious, but there is biological evidence that watching people experience emotions make us likely to experience them ourselves. As seen in the boarding school example, this effect is more pronounced if we share more in common with the person. This could be anything: same gender, same taste in games, same sense of humor, etc. Simply put, if something funny happens to our favorite streamer and they start laughing, neuropsychology dictates that we'll also feel like laughing with them. Having a streamer in your life that is a source of entertainment, laughter has both physical and mental health benefits. Wow. Play hard. What other ways can watching stream benefit us? To dive further, I would like to introduce some research on the study of personality that you almost certainly have come across in your life as extroversion and introversion. It's probably that you have heard them defined in the following way: extroverts love people and social contact, introverts hate people and social contact. It is simply untrue. Pioneered by Jung, extroversion or introversion refers to how humans relate to and engage with the world around us. While social confidence and socializing comes naturally to extroverts, introverts tend to be more shy and reserved. This does not mean that introverts hate people or do not enjoy spending time with friends. However, one interesting part of this personality dichotomy is how introverts and extroverts recharge their batteries. Extroverts gain energy by talking and spending time with others, while introverts would prefer to spend time alone and recover from exhaustion. In fact, introverts may struggle to socialize when they are fatigued and may experience social and emotional burnout more readily than extroverts. This leaves introverts with a dilemma. Introverts, like people, are not capable of feeling loneliness, but the stress of life may leave them with insufficient energy to spend time with friends. To compensate for this, introverts have been turning to the internet to strengthen friendships and build new ones, whether it is talking to friends on Facebook or making new friends on World of Warcraft. Online communication is helpful for introverts because it grants them social contact without the overstimulation and exhaustion that may come with offline socializing. Very interesting. So it's saying for introverts, streaming is actually pretty good. They can connect with people where they don't have to perform, they don't have to engage, and they don't feel lonely. Work hard. If an extrovert is working and notices their favorite streamer go live, their productivity may be boosted by listening to them in the background. Secondly, the world is sometimes not able to provide introverts with the silence that they need to work. If an introvert finds themselves unable to escape a noisy situation, drowning out the noise with something more pleasant will offer a boost to their productivity. Is kindness its own reward? Yes, this is pretty cool. This is very interesting. It's not about kindness, it's also about the idea of abundance. When you give someone, you are giving because you have more. That is basically the idea of abundance, that you are so full that even if you give someone, you are still full. That's the idea. You are so complete. You have an overflow of energy. You have an overflow of money, of kindness, or whatever, that even if you give a part to someone, you will still be overflowing. So far in this article, my focus has been on the health, enjoyment, productivity of the audience. Now I would like to switch to the focus why Twitch may be a successful career option. Excluding corporate partnership sponsorships, streamers will be reliant on the financial support of their audience through subscriptions, Twitch bits, donations. What encourages people to financially support a streamer that they could watch for free anyway? I would like to explore another idiom. Kindness is its own reward, or is it? When someone chooses to financially support a streamer, it could be said that they are engaging in altruism. Altruism is typically defined as engaging in behavior that is beneficial to another person while disadvantaging ourselves. It could be sending money to a streamer instead of treating ourselves to a game. We sacrifice a reward for ourselves because it is good to be kind to others. But is it really true? Do we receive no rewards from sacrificial behavior? This is incorrect for two reasons. Firstly, streams are typically structured in a way that acknowledges kindness. If someone subscribes or donates during a stream, the streamer and the audience will be notified through a fun jingle. The streamer will then take the time to thank the person for their generosity. Secondly, biological studies of altruism suggest that we do indeed receive rewards for good deeds. When we are altruistic, we are rewarded with bursts of serotonin and dopamine. As mentioned above, these neurochemicals can help us feel happy. calm, and can even act as pain relief. However, being altruistic provides us with yet another helpful neurochemical, oxytocin. Oxytocin is a neurochemical that helps us forge social bonds, feel closer to one another, and gives us a secure sense of belonging. When we choose to financially support a streamer, our brain tells us that we are valuable, wanted, and helpful member of the community. This is further cemented by the streamer taking the time to personally thank the supporter in front of the community of viewers. By helping their favorite streamer pay their bills, a supporter is rewarded with several positive neurochemicals that relaxes them, makes them feel good about themselves, and tells them they are a loved member of a community. In conclusion, the evidence suggests that Twitch may be popular for a number of reasons. Watching people laugh and have fun is very good for our health and well-being, can help us feel socially connected, can provide us with energy, and can boost our productivity. When we give back to content creators that entertain and energize us, we are rewarded with several neurochemicals that elate us and make us feel like a valuable and wanted member of a community. Wow. Really cool. There's another PDF. Twitch.tv. 2.2 million monthly broadcasters, watched by 15 million daily active users, 150 million monthly unique users, which is only one of the services available. Communities, however, this paper aims to further investigate and explain the motivations of both the content creators and content viewers. Big Fi. Gamer motivation models showing both categories and subcategories. That's pretty cool. Action, boom. Social, let's play together. Mastery, let me think. Achievement, I want more. Immersion, once upon a time. Creativity, what if. Destruction, competition, challenge, completion, fantasy. Design, excitement, community, strategy, power, story, discovery. This is a lot. This is a lot. Okay, what do we have? I'll create a simple Chrome extension for you with necessary files. Here's your Serif Everywhere Chrome extension. To install it, unzip the downloaded file, go to Chrome, Extensions in Chrome, enable developer mode, click Load Packed and select the unzip folder. Click the extension icon on any page to toggle. Wow, okay, let's try right away. I have the zip file now, and I will pause screen share. It said go in Chrome. Okay, developer mode on. This was Serif Everywhere. Okay, enable developer mode. Click Load Unpacked. Load. Okay. Chrome is saying, okay. Empaqueté. Charger l'extension non empaqueté. Load unpacked. Okay, so this one. I'm gonna click. And then téléchargement. Oh, it said unzip file. Select the unzip file. So we have to unzip the file first. Wow, this is so simple. Alright, file has been unzipped. Parfait. And now charge l'extension non empaqueté. Non empaqueté. Okay. Serif Everywhere. Select. Serif Everywhere is here. Oh my god. Click the extension icon on any page to toggle all fonts to serif. Wow. Metaju. Wow. So if I go back to this page, oh my god. And if I click extensions, Gérer toutes les extensions. Okay, so I don't see this new extension in. Okay, so what we'll do is I want to open the same page because this page gave me the idea. Okay, I'm on this page. I'll go on extensions. I see serif everywhere. Wow. Click. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. We just did it. We just did it. Okay. Let me share my. Wow. 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 This is beautiful. Imagine. This is beautiful. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay. Where is Chrome? Chrome. Chrome will be it, not Chrome, it will be Google Chrome. Wait, why don't I see an option for Chrome? Oh, now I see Google Chrome. Yes. Parfait. Here's Google Chrome. Let's shut down this guy. Okay, so here's the article. I was literally reading this. I'm like, I would love to see this in serif font. Here's our serif everywhere. Boom. Oh my god. Idea to reality. Idea to reality. Oh my god. Oh my god. What if can I do this to Twitter? So we'll open the same tweet that we had. We'll open the same tweet. Let's see. Wow. Idea to reality. Idea to reality. Oh my god. Wow. 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 This is amazing. It's amazing. Wow. Okay, let's go back. All right. We are here. I'm actually curious. So, this was beautiful. Wow, this is amazing. Enjoy your certified web browsing. Let me know if you like any tweaks, like making it auto apply on every page or adding options for different serif fonts. Okay, one thing I'm curious about is I want to know what is the serif font that Notion uses. Because I really like that. Do you know what font is this? Analyzing serif font characteristics. Could be Notion with the serif typography option enabled. So the heading font is likely Leon display. Notion uses it for serif headings. It's characterized by high stroke contrast, elegant bracketed serifs, in a classical feel. If it's not Notion, the closest widely available alternatives with that same look which share yes, it is Notion. Nice. Good taste. Neon displays a beautiful typeface. Okay. So Notion uses a very specific serif font. That makes sense because it looks beautiful. It looks beautiful. Leon text for body copy, which is the same family optimized for smaller sizes. It gives everything that clean editorial magazine feel. If you ever want to use something similar, Playfair displays a solid free alternative on Google Fonts that captures a lot of the same energy. Okay. Can you update our Chrome extension to use Playfair display? And it seems like Notion has, yeah, Notion definitely, they do a really good job at this very subtle things. How to do these subtle, beautiful things, they're really good at that. We went from idea to reality in like 10 minutes or something. And that's just also me not looking at it. But we went there faster. Okay. The research and force an account paint a picture that's more layered than you might expect. There are obvious motivations, but the deeper ones are what really explain staying power, the self-portrayal drive. Research on Twitch motivation found that the desire to portray oneself is foundational for streamers, creating content to entertain or inform, but mainly to evoke reactions from others. World of streaming motivation and gratification on Twitch. This isn't vanity. These research papers have beautiful titles. It feels like I'm gonna read all of them. Wow. Okay, let's see. Summarize the world of streaming. This isn't vanity, it's a deep human need to be witnessed doing something you care about. For a lot of remote workers and independent developers, nobody ever sees them work. Streaming fills that gap. Some streamers want to build community. Very interesting. Loading tab content. It now loads Playfair display from Google Fonts and falls back to Georgia. If it can't load, just replace the old extension files with these and reload. Okay, we'll do it. Zip everywhere, or not zip everywhere, serif everywhere. Okay, we got the new file. We got Google Chrome. We go to extensions. And supprime. Okay, new packet. Okay, and now we got the new packet and refresh. I don't know if a difference was made, but okay. Just replace the old extension files with these and reload. Okay, cool. Interesting. Interesting. This was very fun. This was very fun. Merci. Merci, Claude. Okay. Streaming fills like gaps. Some streamers want to build community and enjoy social interaction, while others want an acknowledgement and to be recognized for what they do. The accountability structure. This connects directly to your flow state thesis. This is very interesting. Witness. People want to be witnessed. People want to be performing for someone. Want to build community and enjoy social interaction, while others want acknowledgement and to be recognized for what they do. This connects directly to your flow state thesis. Research on software development streams specifically found that streaming creates lower barriers to self-education, accountability for work, community advocacy. Streamers consistently report that they are more productive on camera than off. The schedule creates a forcing function. You said you'd be live at 10 a.m., so you show up at 10 a.m. That external structure is something remote workers desperately lack. That structure is something remote workers really lack. Very interesting. The community as antidote to isolation. Studies found that communities forming around streamers help alleviate viewers' feelings of self-consciousness and loneliness. Studies found that communities forming around streamers help alleviate viewers' feelings of self-consciousness and loneliness. But what's less discussed is that this works in both directions. Streamers themselves are often lonely. They're frequently remote workers, indie developers, solo founders. Streaming is particularly helpful for introverts because it provides social contact without the overstimulation that comes with offline socializing. Platinum Paragon, the psychology of Twitch. You get the companionship of a chat room while sitting comfortably in your own space and socializing on your own terms. Authenticity as relief. Streamers can easily fake their personality for 40 hours a week for years on end. It's partly why fans connect so deeply with them. What's interesting is that many streamers describe this as a benefit, not as a burden. In a world curated of LinkedIn posts and polished newsletters, I think this is again another reason. Like, number one, I like to talk, and I want to keep refining the skill. So this was a good way to do it, because in a podcast, you are in a conversation, you are not exploring. You want to be creating a bunch of slop work for you to figure out what is that good work. You produce a lot of slop to be able to find the nuggets, find the golden nuggets. So I wanted a place where I can explore a lot with the slop. That was one. And I think this is also true. Like, I remember watching, I think it was Jason Calacanis maybe, but yeah, I don't remember who I was watching, but I was like, yeah, you are able to only build this deeper relationship with that person when you can watch a video of them talking and reacting. There's no way you can build this connection. There's no way you can build this connection with someone when you are just reading their content. When you're reading their content, this is art right now. This is an art right now. That's the reason why I call myself an artist right now, because this is an art. This is an art because right now you're kind of entering into this world that was created by me, that I thought about, and I brought all these elements together to create a world where you can watch the world with me. You can immerse yourself in this world with me. But what happens on LinkedIn, on social media, all that stuff is Instagram does better, because Instagram, again, you can really focus on, you can really show off your world on Instagram. But on LinkedIn, with written content, it's very hard. All I'm seeing is a profile picture and some text, which is everything that I see. It's very hard to imagine what your world looks like. It's very hard to immerse myself in the world of yours that you have created. But what's interesting is that many streamers describe this as a benefit, not a burden. Authenticity as relief. In a world of curated LinkedIn posts and polished newsletters, there's something psychologically freeing about just being yourself in real time. Their lives aren't Instagram perfect. Many publicly share their frustrations, personal mistakes, and struggles with burnout or depression, and audiences feel closer to them for it. Why do people care so much about the streamers? Oh my god, 404. The dark side is real though. The early stages of streaming are typically the most pleasant, but as communities grow, streamers start chasing numbers, comparing themselves to others, and hyper analyzing their metrics. And a project started out of passion can become a chore. One streamer described how we need to talk more about the mental health impact of live streaming. The early stages of streaming are typically the most pleasant, but as communities grow, streamers start chasing numbers, comparing themselves to others, and hyper analyzing their metrics. And a project started out of passion can become a chore. One streamer described how around 200 concurrent viewers, things became exhausting. And at 2,000 viewers, with that many people asking questions and telling you what to do, he started having anxiety bordering on panic attacks. There's also Dunbar's number problem. Streamers report they can only interact meaningfully with about 100 to 150 participants. Beyond that, the personal connection breaks down, which aligns with research on cognitive limits for maintaining meaningful social relationships. This is actually an argument for your vision of everyday people streaming their work to small audiences. The sweet spot isn't fame, it's a room of 2,200 people who know each other, watching each other work, building something closer to a digital studio than a broadcast. The streamers who last seem to be the ones who stream primarily for themselves, for the structure, the accountability, the flow, and treat the audience as a welcome side effect rather than the main event. I think this is really important. Like while I'm streaming, I can always have my live chat beside me, because if I always have the live chat beside me, it would be really hard to enter into the flow state. And to enter into the flow state, you don't have to be distracted. You have to keep following your curiosity. That helps you really enter into the flow state. But it's also really fun. I think I really enjoy when I think there should be a timer kind of thing, that you enter a stream and you can only see comments after you hit 1 hour. I think that would be beautiful. That would be beautiful to do something like that. Watching each other work, building something closer to a digital studio than a broadcast. The streamers who lost seem to be the ones who stream primarily for themselves, for the structure, the accountability, the flow, and treat the audience as a welcome side effect rather than the main event. The ones who burn out are the ones who start performing for the audience rather than performing their craft in front of one. This is very interesting. Wow, I want to go deeper into this. Who are some of the longest standing streamers? Prominent long-term streaming personalities. Let's see. Longest and oldest partner channels. I want to check this out. Longest partner channels. Dance Gaming. Oh, Dance Gaming is the same guy we looked into. The Unreal Engine developer. Lyric, Ben Castle. Stephen Bonnell, Hafu. There are a few names that stand out as true lifers. People who have been at this for a decade or more and are still going strong. What's interesting is looking at why they lasted when the vast majority didn't. Wow. Probably the best example of pure longevity. He's one of the few major Twitch streamers who can trace his history back to 2011. Within the first 6 months of Twitch launching, he started streaming World of Warcraft, then switched to DayZ, and eventually grew to average 20,000 to 40,000 viewers per stream. That's 15 years now. As of 2024, he still streams regularly and has no plans to stop. A former Twitch executive described him as the first quintessential giant Uber influencer on Twitch who was more of a casual variety streamer rather than an esports player. Lyric. A former Twitch executive described him as the first quintessential giant Uber influencer. Lyric: Saqib Zahid. Started on Justin TV, early Twitch around 2011. Built his name on Daisy during the survival game explosion. One of the first true variety streamers who proved personality more than game. Consistency without spectacle, no constant reinvention circus. He just shows up, plays, reacts, revs. The stability itself became the brand. Radical privacy. For years, he didn't show his face, rare public appearances, no oversharing. In an era of maximal exposure, he chose minimalism. That boundary likely saved his sanity. Audience attached to him, not the game. He moved from PUBG, GTA, whatever viewers followed. That's durability. Low ego charisma. He's funny without trying too hard. Deadpan, dry humor. Feels like you were hanging with a sharp friend, not watching a performance athlete. He secured major deals, including long-term Twitch contracts, which reduces desperation. When you are not chasing subs every minute, your stream energy changes. A deeper pattern. Less like content and more like a daily ritual container. He clocks in, plays, talks, leaves. No grand narrative, no guru arc, just rhythm. A rhythm is what you've been circling in your own thesis. About streaming flow states. The people who last aren't optimizing for virality. They are optimizing for sustainability of self. It's almost monastic. Room, screen, game, voice, repeat. Now here's the interesting bridge to your world in Vancouver. If someone applied the lyric model to tech streaming, not hype, not build in public theater, and just show up, build, think out loud, log off. It's very interesting. It's very interesting. He lasted because he genuinely enjoys the act of playing and reacting, not because he was chasing celebrity. Carnage. Ben Castle is the endurance athlete of streaming. He streamed for 2,000 consecutive days, nearly 5.5 years, without a single day off before finally taking 1 day's rest in April 2019. Wow. And then he went right back to it. He streams every single day starting at 8 a.m. EST, usually for 6 to 10 hours with a lunch break in between. Wow. He started in 2013 and still averages around 7,000 viewers per stream with about 1.7 million followers. A former Twitch PR director called him proof of concept that you can have thousands of people watching and have a non-toxic community. Carnage is the closest thing to what you were describing earlier. Someone who essentially streams his work, shows up on a rigid daily schedule, and lets that consistency compound over years. Day 9, Sean Plott represents the OG educator streamer archetype. He was one of the StarCraft's biggest faces in the earliest days of Twitch, then transitioned to variety streaming as StarCraft declined, becoming a key figure in Magic, The Gathering, and early Hearthstone, and even hosted Dota 2's International 2017. He pioneered the format of explaining your thought process as you play, essentially teaching through streaming long before it became standard. Educator, streamer archetype. Destiny, Stephen Bonnell. Streaming since around 2011 is one of the most polarizing but undeniably enduring figures. Twitch founding employee called him a pioneer of the spicier, drama-filled streams with a cult following and described him as someone who walked so that later streamers like XQC could run. He shifted from gaming to political debate over the years, but the core format, live, unfiltered, real-time thinking hasn't changed. Very interesting. Gaming to politics. Gaming to political debate. Very cool. Hafu, worth mentioning, is one of the longest tenured women on the platform. She was connected with the platform back in the Justin TV days, found success across multiple titles. One of the best Hearthstone players on Twitch. Twitch had a live fire thinker archetype. Destiny would be etched into it. Twitch smell like fresh paint. Willingness to argue on stream for hours with anyone. Gaming into political debate, turning his channel into something closer to a live intellectual arena. Let's spar. Early adopter durability, process over polish. He debates in real time, often with no script. You are not watching conclusions, you're watching cognition. That raw thinking is the product. High conflict tolerance. A lot of streamers optimize for vibes. Friction. He'll platform people he disagrees with and grind through disagreements live. That creates both loyalty and controversy. He moved from gaming to politics to culture. The audience largely stayed. That's the mark of identity-based attachment rather than content-based attachment. Really cool. Longevity in streaming seems to come from 3 traits. Treating it as a daily discipline, not a viral lottery. Building a core audience that's there for you, not just a niche. Having unusually high stamina for public scrutiny. Destiny checks all 3. Given your thesis about live streaming as flow state amplification. Interesting because he uses streaming less as productivity theater and more as intellectual dojo. The stream is the gym. The debate is the workout. Reps compound. Build in public, think in public, stay consistent long enough that the audience bonds to the process. Very cool, very cool. From a single viral moment, they all treated streaming as a daily practice, more like showing up to a job or a studio than performing for a crowd. They all played different games over the years, which means the audience was there for them, not for a specific piece of content, and they all maintained relatively healthy boundaries. This reinforces your thesis about flow states and daily practice. The streamers who last a decade aren't the ones who burn brightest. They are the ones who found a sustainable rhythm, who treated streaming as a container for their work rather than a performance on top of it. Okay. Very interesting. Very interesting. Okay, tell me more about this. Oh. It just got... Oh. Oh no, I messed up again. What is happening? Yes. Tell me more about this. How did they make this happen where audience was for them, not for the content? This is very interesting. This is very interesting. I had never looked into the Twitch streamers before, but I think this is very interesting because if streaming is what I do, then we gotta learn from the OGs. They have pretty much figured out the same ideas. They have pretty much figured out what happens over here. I'll take a quick water break. Oh, not this guy, this guy. Okay. How did they make this happen? What was the audience? Where was the audience for them, not for the content? Huh. Okay. It's a really central question on what separates streamers who last from streamers who flame out, and the answer is less strategic than you might think. It's almost structural. Very interesting. A16Z actually wrote about this distinction earlier, or directly. Lifestyle streamers tend to retain fans better than gaming streamers. The former trades on personality, while the latter may lose fans when a particular game wanes in popularity. Very interesting. The rise of lifestyle streamers. 2020. Very interesting. We started with A16Z, we are coming back to A16Z. Let's go. That's a trap. If you build your audience around a game, you are essentially renting someone else's IP. The moment that game declines, your audience goes with it. Without a game taking up visual and cognitive space on the screen, the streamer's personality becomes the main focus. That's a trap. If you build your audience around a game, you are essentially renting someone else's IP. The moment that game declines, your audience goes with it. Without a game taking up visual and cognitive space on the screen, the streamer's personality becomes the main focus. The streamers who made this work did a few specific things, whether consciously or not. They became variety streamers early, which forced the audience to choose them. Look at Lyric or Carnage. They played hundreds of different games over the years. Every time they switched to a new title, they imposed a natural filter. The viewers who only cared about DayZ or World of Warcraft left. The ones who stayed were there because they liked the way Lyric reacted to games, or the way Carnage explained them. Over time, the audience self-selects for loyalty to the person. Very interesting, very interesting. Every time they switched to a new title, they imposed a natural filter. The viewers who only cared about DayZ or World of Warcraft left. The ones who stayed were there because they liked the way Lyric reacted to games, or the way Carnage explained them. Over time, the audience self-selects for loyalty to the person. It's almost Darwinian. Each game switch is a small extinction event that kills off content-dependent viewers and strengthens the core. They established rituals, not just schedules. Research on retention found that viewers who develop traditions and in-jokes with the streamers community are far more likely to return. Because little acknowledgements make people feel seen. Carnage's 8 a.m. start time, his lunch break, his positivity first moderation rules, these became the texture of a daily experience people could rely on. It's the same reason people go to the same cafe every morning, even when the coffee isn't the best. You're not buying the coffee, you're buying the ritual and the familiarity. They let the audience see them struggle. This is subtle but crucial. When a streamer plays a game they are bad at, or learns a new language live, or fumbles through a problem, the audience shifts from consuming content to rooting for a person. The most successful streamers share a common thread of authenticity. Viewers crave genuine connections, and a streamer's unique personality, passions, and quirks naturally shine through and resonate with the audience. Vulnerability is the mechanism that converts a viewer from "I am watching this game" to "I am watching this person play." The real-time format itself does the work. I think this is beautiful. This is beautiful what they just said, that okay, if you started with a particular game like World of Warcraft, and now you actively make that switch that, oh, I don't want to build my identity around World of Warcraft. Like even today, I didn't build my, I did try to build my identity around Perplexity, that, oh, because I'm going to get a sponsorship on Perplexity, but obviously, no. My goal was always to work with the best tools to create art. To work with the best tools to create art. My brain knows that when I'm in flow state, there are some things that I'm naturally attracted to. Just move slowly toward that. And yeah, we are using ChatGPT, we are using Claude Code, we are sometimes using Perplexity, we are using Google Chrome, we are using Claude in Google Chrome, we are using the Claude Chrome extension is in Google, Claude Chrome? No, Claude extension in Google Chrome. I use Dia sometimes, and I use Dia sometimes just to write things because it's beautiful. What else? We are using WisprFlow. So we are using everything. We are trying to use everything, the best tools that will make the most beautiful art. And the most beautiful art just comes about naturally when I am in this flow state. When I'm in a flow state, I exactly know. I care about you connect with the artist. You connect with the artist, that you are like, oh, I know this person who made this tool with heart. They made this tool thinking that they are giving a gift to humanity. And that's kind of the idea over here, that hey, everybody is building gift, not everybody, but the people who are building the gift to humanity, let's bring that all together. Let's make art out of it. Vulnerability is a mechanism that converts a viewer from I'm watching this game to I'm watching this person play. The real-time format itself does the work. This is the part that's hardest to appreciate from the outside. What has always made live streaming uniquely compelling as a medium is the ability to combine the reach of a public broadcast with the community of a small group. A podcast listener has a relationship with an idea. A YouTube viewer has a relationship with a production. But a stream viewer who's been in chat for 2 years, who has inside jokes with other regulars, who gets greeted by name, that person has a relationship with a place and a community. The streamer is more like the bartender at your local than a performer on a stage. This connects back to your original thesis about remote workers streaming their flow states. The people who will succeed at that won't be the ones who try to be entertainers. They will be the ones who just consistently show up, do their work, let people watch, and other time become a familiar presence in someone else's day. The content, whatever they are building, coding, designing, will rotate, but the person and the rhythm stay constant. And that's what people actually attach to. I really like this last sentence. The streamers who last a decade aren't the ones who burn brightest. They are the ones who found a sustainable rhythm, who treated streaming as a container for their work rather than performance on top of it. Tell me more about this. Boom. And again, this is interesting. Why I'm naturally attracted to Claude, because Claude, in its response, it makes the response by the LLM feels like it's written in a very poetic way that you want to read, which makes it very attractive. This was written in 2020. Wow. As shelter in place restrictions have tethered many people to their homes, live streaming, broadcasting user created video in real time has skyrocketed. Platforms like Twitch, Caffeine, YouTube Live, and Facebook have all been flooded with record numbers of streamers and spectators. Historically, live streaming has been synonymous with gaming. Twitch and Mixer, for example, are known for turning professional gamers like Tyler Ninja Blemmins into household names. More recently, however, a new streaming audience has emerged, one hungry for non-gaming content. Over the past 2 years, for example, a category on Twitch dubbed Just Chatting, in which streamers chat with their viewers in real time, has grown nearly 4 times as quickly as Twitch overall. And as platforms like Caffeine launch entertainment shows, pop culture streams, that trend is playing out across the industry. What happened to the Caffeine live streaming platform? Late night show you could jump into, backed by heavy hitters. Okay. Boosted by celebrity partnership, Drake's Battle Rap League, carve out lane beyond Twitch's Joystick Kingdom. Competition was brutal, up against Twitch, YouTube, Facebook. Massive creator ecosystems, monetization tools, and embedded audiences. Network effects in live streaming are a steel trap. Monetization didn't scale fast enough. Caffeine avoided ads early on and tried a more curated, talent-driven approach, but live streaming economics are ruthless. If creators cannot reliably earn, they drift to platforms where the tips, subs, and sponsorships flow like a well-watered river. Layoffs and retrenchment. Cut staff and pivoted towards specific programming like battle rap and sports adjacent content rather than being a broad creator platform. Strategic narrowing. Instead of competing head-to-head with Twitch, more premium event style content, the wide open anyone go live version shrank into a more curated entertainment model. Live streaming is a winner take most arena, not winner take all. The infrastructure is heavy, moderation is expensive, and audience habits calcify quickly. If you're not the default tab people open, you need a cult level niche or radically better economic engine. In many ways, Caffeine was early to the lifestyle streaming wave. But being early without compounding distribution is like building a beautiful theater in a town that hasn't formed yet. Given how deeply you're thinking on live streaming as a long-form philosophical personality-driven medium in Vancouver. Okay. The dynamics behind live streaming and engagement. Witness the rise of new class of influencer, the lifestyle streamer. Maya Higa. Broad variety of interest from travel to fitness to finance. Drake, battle rap shows. Environmental conservationist Maya Higa, who showcases falconry, endangered animals on falconry. I'm guessing falconry is where you wear that glove and you have a falcon sitting on top of your glove. I'm guessing that is falconry. Chef Bobby Parrish, who teaches viewers how to prepare keto meals. Caitlin Amuranth Siragusa, who eats, works out, even sleeps on stream. Wow. The common thread that runs through these streams is the focus on the person, not necessarily the activity, without a game taking up visual. The streamer's personality becomes the main focus. Why would viewers find it compelling to get to know the lifestyle of complete strangers on stream? The short answer, loneliness. The best lifestyle streamers engage fans and make them feel like an active participant in an intimate community. Rather than a detached viewer, lifestyle streamers are often intimately acquainted with their followers. Take suggestions for the daily agenda. In contrast, while top game streamers can draw massive audiences, the cognitive load required for gaming means relatively less time to engage viewers. This community is the true driver behind the growth of lifestyle streaming relative to both linear video and game streaming. For millions of people today, watching and conversing with their favorite lifestyle streamers much more engaging than passively watching Netflix. Oh, I wish I could use my serif everywhere over here. Extension, and it's not available. No, it's not available. Wait, actually, what if? Extension, mode développeur, charger. Wait, we can do it. Ouvrir, let's go. Oh, it's here. Oh my god, we did it. Extension, serif everywhere. Oh, what just happened? Erreur. Il y a une erreur. Okay. Extension, épingler, and boom. Oh my god, we are here. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Wow. Wow. That was definitely very bad. Very bad A16Z. Look at this. Beauty. Okay. Lifestyle streams unlock superior monetization models. The move. Promising solution to one of the toughest challenges facing creators these days, making money. Own the majority of the revenue on the platform. Superstores reportedly pulled in more than 500,000 a month. By comparison, most of the platforms 150,000 affiliate creators. Those with smaller followings earn less than $250 a month. The remaining segment of Twitch's 2 million creators made little to no money at all. The top revenue scores for live streamers have traditionally been subscriptions, advertising, donations, sponsorships. Top gaming streamer Jeremy Disguised Toast Wang make roughly 20,000 a month, not including sponsorships. He breaks down his typical monthly income at left. 12% donations, 20% ads, 68% subscriptions. Ads, news sources, subscriptions, donations. Revenue for a lifestyle streamer looks more like a pyramid on the right. A deeper relationship with fans, as well as the ability to respond to an audience in real time for certain types of content, means the majority of income comes from donations. Traditional creator revenue sources such as subscriptions are also amplified by live streamers. Lifestyle streamers tend to retain fans better than gaming streamers, whereas the former trades on personality. The latter may lose fans when a particular game wanes in popularity. Attractive sponsorship targets, but beyond existing monetization models, lifestyle streamers also have the ability to tap into new revenue pools both on and off platform. The top just chatting streamer of 2019, Felix XQC, makes roughly 1,188 an hour on Media Share Mondays, an all-day event in which he watches YouTube videos hand-selected by his fans. As a role model and tastemaker for his audience, he's effectively selling social validation. Private membership groups. Many lifestyle streamers have been able to monetize their most ardent fans via paid, closed membership groups. For example, cosplay streamer maintains close to 1,000 subscribers on her Patreon, where she provides exclusive photographs of herself in costume for between $20 to $850 a month. For the very highest subscription tier, patrons unlock the ability to text message directly at any time, whereas lower tiers are restricted to Discord or group hangouts. Companionship coaching. Sell companionship directly to their audience, either by playing games with fans or booking time off platform. The studio Stream Captain, for example, has designed a game called Stream Raiders, where viewers serve as individual units in a streamer's army. The startup Legion Farm matches streamers and esports pros with regular players to serve as game companions at an average rate of $14. And on marketplaces like Fiverr, streamers offer coaching on subjects ranging from fitness to photography to personal finance. Wow. Very cool. Humans are the ideas. AI is for execution. Of course, they are putting ads in AI. Software's YouTube moment is happening now. Finally, live streaming commerce is an emerging revenue channel that is ripe for growth. Previously, my partners have called e-commerce the killer app for video platforms. Similarly, it's a growing source of income for live streamers. Many streamers are viewed as tastemakers and recommend products to their audience in exchange for commissions. Chance Soda Poppin Morris designs and sells a collection of curated metal prints as well as his own line of lifestyle apparel. Startups such as Gigi go a step further, enabling creators to set up their own e-commerce stores to sell products directly to fans. While many of these new revenue channels are still nascent, they are growing quickly. Collectively, these avenues offer far greater monetization potential than traditional ad-driven models. Lifestyle streamers have a brand toolkit at their disposal and the flexibility to choose the monetization model that best complements their particular brand. The next generation of live streaming. The first generation live streaming influencers were professional video game players. Personalities. King gaming is just one of the many ways to engage fans. What has always made live streaming as a medium uniquely compelling is the ability to combine the reach of a public broadcast with the community of a small group. As people become increasingly removed from traditional sources of community during the pandemic, lifestyle streamers are going live to help fill that void. I'm now really curious about this part. Let's see. This distinction is really the key to everything we have been talking about. Think about the two mental models for what streaming is. In the first model, the performance model, the work is one thing and the stream is another thing layered on top. You are coding, but you are also entertaining. You're playing a game, but you're also performing reactions. The stream is additional labor. Every minute you are live, you're doing two jobs simultaneously, your actual activity and the meta activity of being watchable. This is exhausting by definition. It's why burnout rates are so high. You are not just spending energy on the work, you're spending energy on the presentation of the work, and the gap between those two things slowly widens until it breaks you. The second model, the container model, the stream isn't something added on top of the work. It's the environment in which the work happens. The way your studio is an environment for a painter or a cafe is an environment for a writer, you'd be doing the work anyway. The stream just means you're doing it with the door open. People can wander in, watch, sit with you for a while, leave. But you're not performing for them. You're working, and they are present. The difference sounds philosophical, but it has very concrete consequences. It's a container. Okay. You optimize for the audience. You play the game chat wants you to play. You react bigger than you naturally would. You fill silence with talking because dead air feels like failure. You start making decisions about your work based on what's watchable rather than what's good. Over time, you lose the thread of why you started. The work becomes subordinate to the stream, and the stream becomes a job you resent. In the container model, you optimize for the work. You play what you want to play. You are quiet when you are thinking. You go deep into problems that might bore a casual viewer. And paradoxically, this is what builds the most durable audience because the people who stay are the ones who generally find your work and your mind interesting. You never have to wonder whether your audience is real because you never baited them with performance. They self selected for the authentic thing. Co Carnage is the clearest illustration. He streams 6 to 10 hours a day every single day, playing whatever he wants. He doesn't chase trends, he doesn't do drama. He has a lunch break. It looks almost boring from the outside, and that's exactly the point. He built a life where streaming is his daily routine, not something that interrupts it. The stream is the container for his day, and his day happens to involve playing games, talking to people, being present. That's sustainable for a decade because there's no gap between who he is on stream and who he is off stream. There's no mask to maintain. Compare that to streamers who burn out. The pattern is almost always the same. They started doing something they loved, it got popular. What if I hit boom? Oh, so this is what's happening. Very interesting. Very interesting. I'm curious. I am curious. What is the font and font size of Claude's response? The pattern's almost always the same. They started doing something they loved, it got popular, the audience developed expectations, and gradually the thing they loved got replaced by the performance of loving it. The container collapsed into pure performance and they couldn't sustain it. This is exactly why your intuition about remote workers starting streaming the flow states is so interesting. A developer who streams themselves building a product isn't performing, they are working. The stream is just the room they are working in, except the room has other people in it. The moment they start thinking, I need to make this entertaining, the spell breaks. But if they just work and let the stream be the ambient context, they get all the benefits you described earlier: accountability, social presence. Okay. But if they just work and let the stream be the ambient context, they get all the benefits you described earlier: accountability, social presence, flow, community, without the burnout tax of performance. The deepest version of this idea is that the best streams aren't content at all, they are presence. You're not tuning in to consume something, you're tuning in to be somewhere with someone while life happens. That's why people leave streams running in the background for hours. They are not watching, they are coexisting, and that's a fundamentally different relationship than any other media format offers. It's closer to having a roommate than watching a show. That's what scales to a decade, not talent, not hustle, not algorithm hacks, just someone showing up to the same place every day and doing their thing with the door open. Very interesting. Let's update this. Whoa, what is this? Update font to Tempo's text. And the font size to 16px. Let's see. Commercial font from Clim Type Foundry, so it can be loaded from Google Fonts. Falling back to Georgia otherwise. Identify unnecessary permissions to eliminate. Now use these tempos text falling back to Georgia. If it's installed, just make sure to have installed your machine, then reload the extension. Okay, let's download this again. Okay, let's go. Download. So now we got serif everywhere and parfait 1245. We'll go to our extension. Gérer toutes les extensions, supprimer, and ouvrir. And parfait. Nous sommes ici. Extension, épingler, and boom. Let's go. That's better. I think earlier we had like 4. Oh no. It also, wait. So it's also dropped the font of the font size of heading, but it's okay. It looks good. If we go over here, update font size to 18px. Okay, this is the last update we are doing. Okay, serif everywhere. Go delete, and in extensions, supprimer. We go here. We download serif everywhere. Encore. We unzip the file. We charger l'extension non empaquetée, and we bring it back. Where is the A16Z? Oh yeah, this is a very ugly article to fix. Parfait. Yes. Fix this ugly article. Oh no, what did he just do? I don't know if did we fix it? Okay, very specific question, but keep the body font, update the body font to 18px and keep all the heading font size. Update the body font size to 18px and keep all the heading font sizes to their original font sizes in their original size. Okay. Preserve heading sizes. Let's go. Wow. Such a small, tiny thing, but now we are finding the edge cases everywhere. Just beautiful. Just beautiful. But this is it. We gotta do things for beauty. We gotta make things beautiful. L'extension. Supprimer encore. Charger. Ouvrir. And nous sommes back. Okay, this is kind of, this is, yeah, not serif. Extension, épinglé. Let's go. Beautiful work. Beautiful work. Let's go. Beautiful work. Okay. But also it okay. This one also, the line spacing isn't right. Yeah, too many problems. Okay, let's see what's the high level. We talk more about the mental health impact of live streaming. Why can streaming take a heavy toll on mental health? Always on expectations, you constantly have to outdo yourself. Dealing with bullies, trolls, negativity, the pressure of parasocial relationships, sedentary and unhealthy lifestyle. While video games and computers in general aren't damaging to one's health in moderation, a sedentary lifestyle increases the risk of stress, anxiety, and depression. You should also point out that many streamers don't have time to eat a proper meal between streaming sessions, rely on energy drinks to keep them going. Even though they have never personally met them, it's quite common for viewers to turn to streamers for mental health support. Detrimental to streamers' mental health. For example, some viewers may put pressure on streamers, demanding them that they know about their personal lives or becoming aggressive when they take a break or don't upload the content they like. Usually the most pleasant ones, but the more the community grows, important source of revenue, the more streamers find themselves chasing numbers. Becomes a constant struggle to outdo yourself, capitalize on internet trends, please the digital crowds, which may lead to burnout. Going on stage every day and not knowing what to say anymore because you are out of material. Streamers can feel trapped in the kind of content they create, but put on a persona and continue to create because that's what makes audiences happy. Thus, a project started out of passion can become a chore. When famous then Twitch streamer Ninja took a 2-day break, he lost 40,000 subscribers. Audiences also expect consistency, which makes streamers spend as much as 12 hours per day in front of the camera. At that point, a relaxing hobby risks becoming a burden, leading to stress and burnout. No matter how great a job might seem, you still need a healthy work-life balance. And if you are afraid to take a day off to run errands because your subscriber count will drop, you are putting yourself under dangerous levels of pressure. This is exactly why your intuition about remote workers streaming their flow states is so interesting. A developer who streams themselves building a product isn't performing, they are working. The stream is just the room they're working in, except the room has other people in it. The moment they start thinking, I need to make this entertaining, the spell breaks. But if they just work, let the stream be the ambient context, they get all the benefits you described earlier: accountability, social presence, flow community without the burnout tax of performance. They are presence. You are not tuning in to consume anything. You are tuning in to be somewhere with someone where life happens. That's why people leave streams running in the background for hours. They are not watching, they are coexisting. And that's a fundamentally different relationship than any other media format offers. Roommate than watching a show. Analyze this from the lens of the Upanishad. Sometimes it feels nice to type. I feel like I've forgotten how to type. Very funny. Alright. Let's see. This is a beautiful question. And the connections run surprisingly deep. The central tension we have been circling, performance versus presence, doing work for its own sake. I think this is really cool. Like, I want to have control when to trigger the Upanishadic lens. I don't want it to be overfitting every answer into Upanishads. The Isha Upanishad opens with what might be the oldest articulation of the container model. The teaching is that you should act within the world fully, do your work, live your full span of years, but without clinging to the fruits of that action. The work is not diminished by letting go of the outcome, it's liberated by it. The streamer who burns out is the one who has confused the work with its rewards. The viewer count, the subscriber number, the dopamine of chat reactions. The streamer who lasts a decade is the one who, in Upanishadic terms, has located the value in the action itself. They stream the way the Isha Upanishads says you should live fully engaged, fully present, but non-grasping. The distinction between Atman and performed self maps almost exactly onto the two models of streaming. The Upanishads teach that beneath all the roles you play, your name, your social identity, your persona, there is Atman, the true self, which is unchanging and doesn't need validation. The performance model of streaming is essentially the construction of a false self. You build a persona, you react bigger than you feel, you become a character. Getting lost in Maya, the illusion of the constructed identity, and the suffering that follows, burnout, anxiety, resentment, is exactly what the text predict happens when you mistake the mask for the face. The container model, by contrast, is closer to what the Upanishads would recognize as living from Atman. You are not constructing a persona, you are just being. The work flows from who you actually are, and the audience sees that, not because you're performing authenticity, but because there's nothing else to see. The mask and the face are the same. This is why viewers describe the best streamers with words like genuine and real. They are intuitively recognizing that there is no gap between the presented self and the actual self. In Upanishadic terms, the streamer has achieved a kind of transparency. The individual self and the work have become unified. The concept of Sakshi, the witness consciousness, is extraordinary in this context. A mode of awareness where you observe your own experience without becoming entangled in it. You act, but part of you watches yourself acting without judgment, without attachment. This is precisely the psychological state that the best streamers describe when they talk about being in flow on stream. They're coding or playing or building, and they are also aware that they are being observed, but that awareness doesn't disrupt the work, it sits alongside it. The audience becomes a kind of collective Sakshi, witnessing without interfering, and the streamer, when they are truly in flow, becomes their own witness too. They're working and watching themselves work simultaneously, and neither activity corrupts the other. Truly in flow becomes their own witness too. They are working and watching themselves work simultaneously, and neither activity corrupts the other. This is also why your point about flow states is so Upanishadic. The Mandukya Upanishad describes 4 states of consciousness: waking, dreaming, deep sleep, turiya. I think this is very interesting. Very interesting. The moment you trigger Upanishads at the end, it is now only considering all the context within this chat. Within this chat. And that is incredible because this is all present. This is all present. And if you want to keep going in the past, you can keep going in the past, but you can always give it relevant context. You can give it relevant context that it has to play with from the past, like Upanishads. But you don't have to immerse or drown yourself into the context rot. This is amazing. This is amazing what we have seen today. Okay. Turiya is pure awareness without object. Flow states, as Csikszentmihalyi described them, share key characteristics with this: dissolution of the boundary between self and activity, the loss of time awareness, the disappearance of the ego as a separate observer. When a developer is deep in flow, streaming is to a quiet chat room at 2 a.m., there's no performer and no audience. There is just the work happening witnessed. That's as close to Turiya as most people get in ordinary life. The Katha Upanishad's chariot metaphor is relevant here too. It describes the body as a chariot, the senses as horses, the mind as the reins, the intellect as the charioteer. The Atman, the true self, is the passenger. The streamers who burn out are the ones who handed the reins to the horses. The audience's desire, the algorithm's incentives, the dopamine of notification, these became the drivers. The work became reactive, pulled in whatever direction generated the most external response. The streamers who last are the ones where the intellect, their own judgment about what's worth doing, stays in control. The senses receive input from the audience, but that input doesn't steer. The Atman rides calmly while the chariot moves through the world. And then there's the concept of Leela, divine play. The Upanishads suggest that creation itself is not utilitarian. Brahman doesn't create the universe because it needs something. It creates out of a kind of overflow, a spontaneous. Brahman doesn't create the universe because it needs something. It creates out of a kind of overflow, a spontaneous expression that has no purpose beyond itself. A spontaneous expression that has no purpose beyond itself. The best streams have this quality. Co-Carnage doesn't stream because he needs to. He streams because the doing of it is its own justification. It's play in the deepest sense, not frivolous, but self-sufficient. The moment streaming becomes instrumental, a means to money, fame, growth, it stops being Leela and becomes labor, and labor without rest destroys. Play. The deepest connection, though, which might be the simplest one, the Chandogya Upanishad's greatest teaching is Tattvamasi, though thou art that. Tattvamasi, the individual self and the universal reality are not separate. Applied here, the streamer and the stream are not separate. The worker and the work are not separate. The person showing up every day with the door open isn't doing a stream. They are the stream when that identity is total, when there is no gap between the person and the practice. You get something that can sustain itself indefinitely, not because of willpower or strategy, but because there's nothing to resist. The river doesn't burn out from flowing, it just flows. That's what a decade of streaming looks like from the Upanishadic perspective. Not endurance, not discipline, just the absence of separation between who you are and what you do, witnessed by others, recognize a unity, are quietly nourished by it. Now analyze the same idea from Nietzschean lens. Wow, it can spell Nietzschean right. This is crazy. Where the Upanishads offer serenity, Nietzsche offers tension. And the tension is more honest about what's actually happening in streaming. Start with the most obvious connection, the eternal recurrence. Nietzsche's great thought experiment asks, if you had to live this exact life in every detail infinite times over, would you affirm it? Would you say yes to every moment, including the suffering, the boredom, the repetition? This is the ultimate test for any streamer. This is the ultimate test for any streamer. Carnage has streamed every single day for over a decade. Thousands of days of the same ritual. Wake up, go live, play, talk to chat, take lunch, come back, play more, end stream, sleep, repeat. Eternal, where's the dinner, bro? Okay. Eternal recurrence doesn't ask whether you can endure that. It asks whether you can love it. Whether you can look at the 10,000th day and say again. The streamers who last aren't the ones with the most discipline. They are the ones who generally affirm the repetition, not as something to survive, but as something they would choose infinitely. The streamers who burn out fail the test of eternal recurrence. They wake up one morning, look at the schedule, and feel dread. Not because the work is hard, but because they can no longer say yes to it. The repetition has become punishment rather than affirmation. Nietzsche would say they never truly chose it in the first place. They fell into it, were carried by momentum and external reward, and when those dried up, there was nothing underneath. Wow. The Apollonian and Dionysian split maps onto the performance versus container distinction in a way the Upanishads can't quite reach. Apollo represents form, structure, individuation, clarity, the beautiful surface of things. Dionysus represents dissolution, chaos, intoxication, the loss of individual boundaries. The performance model of streaming is purely Apollonian. It's constructed. The overlay is designed. The persona is crafted. The reactions are calibrated. The brand is managed. The overlay is designed. The persona is crafted. The reactions are calibrated. The brand is managed. Everything is surface. And the surface is beautiful but brittle. One crack, one bad day, one honest moment of exhaustion, and the whole thing threatens to shatter because there's nothing behind the form. The container model has a Dionysian core. Flow states are inherently Dionysian. The ego dissolves. The boundary between self and work disappears. Time collapses. When a developer is deep in code at 1 a.m., fully absorbed, barely aware of the camera, that's a Dionysian. The individual has temporarily ceased to exist as a separate thing. They have merged with the activity. But here's where Nietzsche is more useful than the Upanishads for understanding streaming. He insists that you need both. Pure Dionysian experience is chaos. It's the developer who codes for 14 hours straight and forgets to eat, the streamer who loses all boundaries and lets the audience consume them entirely. Pure Apollonian form is sterile. It's the streamer with perfect branding and zero soul. Perfect branding and zero soul. Wow, wow, wow. You can come across a lot of people who are wearing the perfect clothes, the most beautiful clothes, but they don't have any soul. When you sit down and talk to them, you're like, where's the content? There's no connection over here. I can make a connection with you over here. So very interesting. It's a streamer with perfect branding and zero soul. The great streamers, the ones who last, achieve what Nietzsche saw in Greek tragedy. Dionysian energy given Apollonian form. Dionysian energy given an Apollonian form. Wow, wow, wow. Dionysian energy given Apollonian form. The raw, ego-dissolving power of flow and genuine presence, channeled through the structure of a daily schedule, a consistent format. Dionysian energy given Apollonian form. The raw, ego-dissolving power of flow and genuine presence, channeled through the structure of a daily schedule, a consistent format, a moderated community. Carnage's 8 a.m. start time is Apollo. The 6 hours of genuine immersion in whatever game he's playing is Dionysus. The combination is what makes it sustainable and alive. The will to power is where things get uncomfortable. Nietzsche's concept is widely misunderstood as a desire to dominate others. It's actually something more like the fundamental drive of all living things to express, expand, and overcome themselves. It's not power over, it's power through. The drive to become what you are. The will to power is where things get uncomfortable. Nietzsche's concept is widely misunderstood as a desire to dominate others. It's actually something more like the fundamental drive of all the things to express, expand, and overcome themselves. It's not power over, it's power through, the drive to become what you are. Every streamer who goes live is exercising will to power. They are saying my perspective, my way of working, my reactions, my minds, these are worth witnessing. That's an audacious claim. Most people never make it. They keep the door closed, they work in private. The act of streaming is a niche in terms of fundamentally creative assertion of self against the void of anonymity. But the will to power can be healthy or sick. Healthy will to power is the developer who streams because the work itself is their mode of self-overcoming. Each project is harder than the last. Each stream is another opportunity to become more capable, more articulate, more themselves. Sick will to power is the streamer who needs the viewer count to feel real, who refreshes analytics compulsively, who measures their worth in subscribers. Nietzsche, who recognized this immediately as what he called resentment turned inward. The person who can generate value from within, so they extract it from external validation. They haven't mastered themselves, they have outsourced the self-worth to the audience. They have outsourced their self-worth to the audience. Wow. That is me. I do look at the chat, I do look at the subscriber count. Yes. We need to get better. We need to generate value from within. We need to generate value from within. The Ubermensch is the streamer who doesn't exist yet, but your thesis points toward them. Nietzsche's Overman is the very interesting. Reminds me of something. Nietzsche's Overman is the person. The Ubermensch is the streamer who doesn't exist yet, but your thesis points toward them. Nietzsche's Overman is the person who creates their own values rather than inheriting them from the herd. They don't stream because the culture says streaming is cool, or because the algorithm rewards it, or because they saw someone else succeed. They stream because they have looked at their life, their work, their relationship to solitude and community, and decided that working with the door open is how they want to exist. They have created the value from scratch. Most streamers are what Nietzsche would call last men. They want comfort, they want approval, they want to be liked. Most streamers are what Nietzsche would call last men. They want comfort, they want approval, they want to be liked. They optimize for chat's happiness, they avoid controversy, they play the safe game. The Ubermensch streamer would be the one who says, this is what I'm building, this is how I think, this is the pace I work at. If you want to watch, watch. If you don't, leave. I'm not here for you, I'm here for the work, and you're welcome to be present while it happens. They avoid controversy, they play the safe game. The Ubermensch streamer would be the one who says, this is what I'm building, this is how I think, this is the place, this is the pace I work at. If you want to watch, watch. If you don't, leave. I'm not here for you, I'm here for the work, and you are welcome to be present while it happens. It sounds arrogant, but Nietzsche would argue it's the opposite. It's the most generous thing you can offer an audience, your actual self, unmediated. The streamers who try to please everyone end up offering nothing because they have hollowed themselves out to become a mirror of the audience's desire. The one who refuses to perform, who insists on being themselves even when it costs viewers. That's the one who gives the audience something real to witness. The concept of amor fati, love of fate, is perhaps the deepest thread here. Nietzsche's highest formula for human greatness is not just accepting what happens, but loving it. Not just tolerating the repetition, the slow days, the streams where nobody shows up, the projects that fail on camera, but wanting them, seeing them as necessary part of the whole. This is different from the Upanishadic detachment. The Upanishads say, let go of outcomes, act without attachment. Nietzsche says something harder, love the outcomes, all of them, including the terrible ones. The stream where your code breaks for 2 hours and chat watches you struggle. Don't just accept it, affirm it. That's the stream that was supposed to happen. The slow Tuesday where only 12 people show up, that's not a failure to overcome, it's a condition to embrace. The streamers who survive a decade have implicitly practiced amor fati. they have stopped dividing the streams into good ones and bad ones. Every stream is just a stream that day. The practice itself, showing up, working, being present, is unconditionally affirmed. The results are irrelevant. Where Nietzsche ultimately diverges from the Upanishads on the question of self, the Upanishads dissolve the self into Brahman. The individual was always an illusion. Realization is the recognition that there is no separate you. Nietzsche goes the opposite direction. The self is not an illusion to be dissolved, it's a project to be constructed. This is very interesting. This is very interesting because you can pick and choose what you will like and what you don't like from every philosophical instrument, from every philosophical text. I like the Nietzsche one. You are constructing, it's a project. You are not discovering who you are creating who you are. Every stream, every day of work, every choice about what to build and how to show up, these are acts of self-creation. This is why the container model is Nietzschean at its core, in which the self is made. The developer who streams their work for 5 years doesn't just reveal who they are over that time, they become who they are. The self is not an illusion to be dissolved, it's a project to be constructed. You are not discovering who you are creating who you are. Every stream, every day of work, every choice about what to build and how to show up, these are acts of self-creation. This is why the container model is Nietzschean at its core. The stream isn't a window into a pre-existing self, it's the forge in which the self is made. A developer who streams their work for 5 years and doesn't just reveal who they are over that time, they become who they are through the accumulated weight of all those days. The practice shapes the practitioner. The container shapes what's inside it. This is so interesting. It always reminds me of that guy Aditya who worked on the feed of Facebook, and he's like, oh, all the work that I did, now anybody can do it. No, it's not about the work. It's about how working every single day changed you. And even today, people can just replicate with one shot. They can one shot the same thing, but it won't change them the way it changed you. And you have to realize that the practice you're creating who you are. Every stream, every day of work, every choice about what to build and how to show up, these are acts of self-creation. This is why the container model is Nietzschean at its core. The stream isn't a window into a pre-existing self, it's a forge in which that self is made. The developer who streams their work for 5 years doesn't just reveal who they are over that time, they become who they are through the accumulated weight of all those days. The practice shapes the practitioner. The container shapes what's inside it. And that's the most radical version of your thesis. People won't just stream their work to be more productive or less lonely. They will stream their work because the act of doing it publicly, of being witnessed, and the daily practice of becoming is itself a form of self-creation that private work can never be. Nietzsche would say that the unwitnessed life isn't fully lived, not because you need an audience's approval, but because the presence of others raises the stakes of existence. It makes you more real. It forces you to mean it. It forces you to mean it. I love this. And that's the most radical version of a thesis. People won't just stream their work to be more productive or less lonely. They will stream their work because the act of doing it publicly, of being witnessed in the daily practice of becoming, is itself a form of self-creation that private work can never be. Nietzsche would say that the unwitnessed life isn't fully lived, not because you need an audience's approval, but because the presence of others raises the stakes of existence. It makes you more real. It forces you to